Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This video I feel is one of my most important ones that I will ever share so far. As a lot of you know, I've been on and off a lot of medications in the time that I've been treated for migraines. One of the medications that I take right now is called venlafaxine. It's an antidepressant, and antidepressants are frequently prescribed as a method to try to help control migraines. At the time I was prescribed this particular medication, I was coming off of a medication that had made my anxiety level get really, really high, and my doctor had really wanted to try me on Botox, but my insurance wants you to so my doctor had me on a course guiding me towards getting to Botox treatment. My insurance required me to fail at a few other treatments before they would authorize me to do Botox. So this medication ended up not helping with my migraines, but it did help get that anxiety that I was experiencing under control, and it keeps it at bay for the most part. There are times that it still acts up and I still feel like I need to get away from whatever is getting on my nerves at that moment. But it doesn't happen that often anymore. Anyway, that's not the point of this story. The point of this story is what happened to me recently in the past several months. So since haven't been working, my finances have been very, very tight, and I'm not on a routine where I'm following a certain course of actions every single day. I'm kind of just living life one day to the next because I really don't know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I don't have any planning going on. And I'm falling behind on a lot of things, and one of those things is my insurance. And because I'm not working, I have to pay the premiums on my insurance myself to keep it active during this time that I'm not working. And when that happened, I wasn't able to get the medications that I take for my migraines on a regular basis. And the first time this happened to me, I really didn't know what was going on. I thought it was just another migraine that was just slightly different from what my typical migraine would be. With this process, I've noticed that this has happened 3 times to me. I've noticed that it always starts with a really, really bad migraine. I get severe pain in my head to a point where I can barely tolerate it. And it's one of the really, really bad ones where I'm experiencing a truckload of symptoms at the same time. The light sensitivity is there. Sensitivity to smell is there. My stomach is hurting really bad. I've kind of got some diarrhea going on. I've got nausea going on. My back muscles are really, really tight. So these are all symptoms that I experience when I have a migraine. That being said, the first time it happened, I just attributed it to being a migraine, because there wasn't really anything that was really, really out of the ordinary, except that the pain in my head stopped. It got to a point where I still had a little bit. I usually have a very slight throb going on in my left temple. So I got to a point where it was just that going on, and normally that's not too bad, but it's something that is there almost every day. So to me, I felt like the headache was gone, but the other symptoms were still there. My stomach was still hurting really bad. I was getting nauseous still. I was still throwing up, and I was kind of getting vertigo symptoms. But it didn't last too long. The migraine had me bedbound for a little bit, so it wasn't that first time, it wasn't really too long that I was off of the medication. I think it was only about, I'd say 3 days. So I got back on it pretty quickly, and once I was back on it, that made the symptoms stop and that migraine went away. And then I didn't think of it again until it happened again. The second time it happened was really the worst. I really freaked out when it happened the second time. It lasted a really long time. It lasted probably a total of about 5 days, maybe a little bit longer. But this second time, there were more symptoms and they were more severe. My asthma was also acting up pretty badly at this time. But I think that's one of the things that I read in the list of side effects of missing this medication could do to you. It kind of just makes everything feel like it's shutting down. The second time, I had a really bad migraine. The pain was probably, I'd say, 9 or 10. It was really that bad. I wanted to cut my head off, really. So I had that. I could barely open my eyes because my light sensitivity was so bad. When I went to the bathroom, even if I just had to go pee a little bit, for the first day or two, because of the migraine pain, I was literally throwing up and had diarrhea at the same time. It was really horrible. I don't wish that on anyone. It was painful and gross. So that was only the first day. After the first day, the pain in my head kind of went away, but my stomach still hurt really bad, and it started getting worse. I started getting really bad abdominal cramping going on. It kind of felt like I had gas pains, like severe gas pains, even if I had to go pee just a very tiny bit. And when I did actually have to have a bowel movement, it hurt so bad that I was in tears. And it wasn't because it was a huge bowel movement. It was just the process of passing anything through my intestines just hurt really bad. And another thing that was going on, my house is not very big. I've got a very average sized house. I think my hallway might be, I don't know, I want to say maybe 15 feet from my bedroom to the end of the hallway, and then maybe another 7 feet to the end of the couch. Anyway, when I got up and just tried to get up to do anything, walking that short distance from my bedroom to the living room, I was so fatigued. I literally had to stop halfway there. I had to stop and hold on to the wall to brace myself because I was literally spinning and feeling like I was going to fall down. And this isn't something that had really ever happened to me with a migraine. So at that point, I started really worrying. After that, I started to feel a little bit better as the days progressed, but the nausea stuck around, the vertigo stuck around, and I was still freaking out. So I decided that I needed to go to urgent care. I remember at one point before I did go to urgent care, I think this was the turning point and it was the last straw. I had started to feel almost a little bit better. I hadn't been eating very much, so there wasn't much passing through my system. But I went out into the front yard to help my husband with something, and on my way back into the house, I had been feeling kind of okay, but I was moving very slowly still. I got to a post that we have in the front yard, and all of a sudden everything was spinning, and I felt like I was going to throw up, and I did. I threw up in the front yard because I couldn't make it the next 20 feet to the bathroom, and I was like, I have to go to the doctor. I don't know what's going on. This is not normal. My head isn't hurting anymore, so this isn't just a migraine. I don't know what's wrong. So I go to the urgent care, and I'm going down all of my symptoms, and it's a long list of symptoms, and it was kind of hard because I had to remember everything. My head hurt like hell. I was spinning, so I had vertigo going on. My stomach is upset. I've got nausea. I've got very, very bad cramping going on. I've got diarrhea right now. I'm very, very fatigued. I can't move very far without having to stop and hold myself up to catch my breath. My medications are not helping me. The ones that I have at home, I've got medication for nausea. I've got headache medication. I've got even Imodium was not settling my stomach. So something's got to give. And I'm trying to drink my water, and I'm not eating, so I'm not doing anything to dehydrate myself more. Anyway, so I had this huge long list of symptoms and this huge long list of medications, because when you go to the doctor, you got to list everything you take. And my list is long. So he goes over everything. One of the things that I had said was, you know, I'm on this medication. I think at this point, because I had been feeling so bad, I couldn't get out of the house. I literally could not leave the house because I was so freaking tired. I couldn't get my medication, and it had been several days. And I did tell the doctor that, but that didn't send up any red flags for the doctor at the urgent care, but I'm not really gonna fault him on that. He's just a general practitioner. Most urgent care or ER doctors don't really have specialties. So when you go into a place like that, you kind of risk, you just get what you get. Anyway, so because of all of the list of symptoms that I had, he ended up running a whole lot of diagnostic tests on me. He gave me some vertigo medication while I was there, and he started treating me for dehydration, because with all of my symptoms, that was the most likely thing that was wrong with me. But he did do like liver function, kidney function, bladder function. He checked proteins in my body. He checked to make sure all of my vitamins were in line, and I didn't have too much sodium or anything like that going on in my system. So at least I got very, very complete diagnostic work going on when I went into the urgent care that day. It had occurred to me at that point that maybe what was happening was due to a withdrawal from my medication. So when we left urgent care, I got back on my medication as soon as possible, and I did start feeling better after I got back on the medication. So that second time that it had happened, it was a very, very frightening experience. To me, it felt like my body was shutting down. It felt like everything, my head and my gut and my lungs were just rebelling against me. So yeah, but it had occurred to me that time that it might be due to the withdrawal. So the third time it happened, I had the headache again, and I had the nausea again, and my stomach was hurting really, really bad. This third time that it happened, the worst part of it, I think, was what it was doing to my stomach. It hurt so bad. I spent 2 hours in the bathroom on and off, just because I was in so much pain. I didn't have to go that whole time, but just passing a gas bubble was hurting my stomach so bad, and I was like literally sweating in the bathroom just to pass gas. So I feel like that second time it hurt my intestines a bit, and it did some damage to my body. Because it had occurred to me that second time that it might be due to withdrawal, the third time it happened, I looked up the symptoms of withdrawal right away, and I discovered that pretty much every single symptom, including the migraine for this, was a symptom of being off of this medication. So the third time I knew what I had to do, but I wasn't able to. Right when it started, I didn't know it was happening yet, but I had just gone out to get out of the house to spend a little time away from home because I had been home a lot and I felt the need to get out of the house. The first place I went to, I got out of the car, walked in, grabbed a shopping cart. I was just going to wander around the store and look at things, but I grabbed a shopping cart and immediately I had to go to the bathroom again. And I started feeling dizzy and weak and like I was just going to fall down. So I had to leave right away. Luckily, where I had gone was very, very close to home. So I went home and I did a little bit of research and, you know, I figured I have to get to this prescription as soon as I can. It's not a very expensive prescription. Sorry, I keep having to adjust because the sun is moving. So anyway, the prescription isn't very expensive. It was, my insurance wasn't activated again the last time I got it, but I really, really wanted to pick up the medication anyway. It's a difference of $1 between having the insurance and not having the insurance. And I kind of had to fight with the pharmacist a little bit about this. I was like, I don't care if I have to pay cash price for it. I need this medication right now. It is damaging me to not be on this medication. I have to get back on it. But before I finally got to the pharmacy to pick up the medication, my anxiety and my emotional status started to peak, and that's when I absolutely knew that it had to be related to being off of the medication. So I was very, very emotional. My kids were experiencing some stress at the time, and their stress was making me emotional. It was very, very difficult that last day before I finally got to the pharmacy to get the medication for me to calm myself down. I really had to self-medicate, to sedate myself, basically, to get my mind to shut up and to become numb, because I was an emotional wreck. I was crying for no reason, and I had to tell people. I was like, my husband was here and he was concerned. I was like, I'm sorry, it's just, I know what's going on with me. It's my medication. I need to get back on it. Just don't ignore me right now. I'm going to the pharmacy tomorrow and I'm going to take care of this. So I knew that my anxiety was peaking at that point. And when I finally made it to the pharmacy, there was a line to pick up. There wasn't a line. There was one customer in front of me. And there was an older pharmacist there who is somebody that I had never seen before. It was a backup pharmacist just filling in for the day. And I feel from his age, I feel like he's somebody that was retired and who was just picking up a little bit extra money by working a day or two a week. So he was moving very, very slowly. And the customer in front of me was also very, very slow. And I'm just like, oh my God, my medication is ready. I have my money. I just need to get it. Standing in that line for, I think it was 20 to 30 minutes, it just stressed me out so much. But I did finally get the medication. I got home, I took it, and I let everybody know, I need to get this back into my system. It needs to build up a little bit more. So anything that happens the next day or two, just kind of ignore, because I'm still very, very highly emotional right now. After all is said and done, the things that I'm taking away from this are, first of all, with not every medication is the same. Not every medication has to be followed exactly the same way every single day to make it effective in your system. The closest thing I can relate to this, this is my only medication that I take that has to be very, very strictly followed. But the closest I can relate it to would be like birth control. But with birth control, you're not really screwing up your body and your system by missing a day. You just have to be aware that, you know, you might get pregnant if you don't follow the dosing instructions exactly. With this medication, though, these withdrawal symptoms can set in as soon as 6 hours after missing your first dose. So that is a very, very short time frame. And by the time I realized any of these times that what was going on, it had already been several days. With this last one, I also feel like, because it's a medication for depression and emotional disorders, and for balancing the chemicals in basically in your mind, I feel like because I've messed up, that I've thrown off my balance. So everything that was going on with me before is now worse. I'm kind of starting to feel that my emotions are peaking. I have days right now where I'm in a really, really, really good mood. And then I have other days where I'm really, really upset and little things just aggravate me. So I feel like I've hurt my mental health by not following through with this. I also feel like I've damaged my intestines more than they were before. As a lot of you know, if you've watched my other videos, you know that I have a digestive issue that I'm trying to get sorted out. The last couple of times when I got backed up, it's been worse. It took longer to get myself moving again, and it also it hurt. The pain to get myself moving again it's out of this world. It hurts so bad that I feel like I've just caused like the lining or something to just become very, very irritated. So the last thing I think I've learned from this is that at this point, I definitely need to see a psychiatrist and a counselor to talk about these issues. When you have chronic conditions, it affects your mental health. Just the burden of not knowing how you're going to feel tomorrow is very, very difficult. And when you go through periods of time when you just don't feel well for weeks after week after week, and you don't really know which of if you have multiple conditions like I do, if you don't know which of these conditions is making you feel that way, it becomes depressing because you're not sure exactly what you need to do to make yourself better. So for someone like me, seeing a psychiatrist and counselor is going to be very, very beneficial. I'm also very worried about being on the medication that I'm on right now. I know that it does help me with my anxiety, but I've never seen a psychiatrist, so I don't know if it's exactly the right medication for me to be on. And I feel like because I've had these 3 withdrawals that I know of, there could have been more that I didn't realize what was going on at all because they weren't really bad. I know that with this medication, I haven't been precise in taking it. So there have been days where I know that there might have been 12 hours before I got my next dose, and then I waited 12 hours or 24 hours after that to get back on track. So I know I've missed my dosing schedule on this medication more than once. I don't know if that has screwed up my system to a point where it's not going to work as effectively in my system. Because of the way I went through the withdrawals, I feel like I have a dependency on the medication, and stopping it without guidance from a doctor is definitely not going to be healthy. Yeah, I'm really afraid of what this medication has done to me, but at the same time, I know that I can't stop taking it yet, and there might be something that is not going to hurt me as much, but also something that I know that I need to be aware that I need to follow this dosing schedule and just never, ever, ever deviate from it. So yeah, this is something that I feel like everybody needs to be aware of. And if you go through something that's like this, ask around and ask others to help you out. Do whatever you need to do to find that information to help you feel better, to get you to a level where you know what's going on and you know what you need to do to make yourself better. Don't be like me. Don't mess up on your dosage of certain medications, the side effects are really, really not worth it. I'd really, really much rather be consistent in taking my medications on time than to have to go through this experience and feel the way I felt when I wasn't on it. Yeah, so stay on your medications, everyone. The side effects are definitely not worth it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you'll be the first to know when I upload new content. Take care of yourself, everyone. Bye-bye.